Good afternoon, welcome to Resource Prepping. I'm your host, Greg. Thank you for liking and subscribing to my channel. Welcome to the new subscribers. Please continue to hit that thumbs up and subscribe button. I do appreciate you. Well, Commie Bill in New York got his way. People are refusing the mandate, and 26 firehouses closed, leaving a lot of people uncovered and without protection from fire, as well as paramedics and EMTs. It's coming across the country. Hospitals are not doing surgeries, delivering babies. Fires are not being responded to. Defund the police. Crime rates are going ballistic. So I'm asking you, have you thought about what happens in an SHTF? Are you prepared to be your own firefighter? Your own EMT, your own sheriff's department? Are you prepared for that? I'm not expecting anyone to come out with a, fire hose and put out a house fire, but do you have fire extinguishers for the right type of fire? There are multiple use fire extinguishers. There are some that are designed for chemical fires, and then there are some that are designed for grease fires. By our stove, where I do all the cooking, I have a small fire extinguisher to put out a grease fire. I have one out in the garage by the gasoline and everything else like that in case there's a chemical fire. You can pick those up at any DIY stores and see what type you need. Also check to make sure that they're fully charged. While you're there at the DIY store and you have a second-story house, or you live in an apartment building, have you thought about how you're going to escape in case there's a fire on the first floor and you're upstairs sleeping in the second floor? Get yourself a collapsible chain link ladder that you hook onto your windowsill and escape out of your second story. I think they drop down to 35 feet or so, but double check me on that. Get one for every room upstairs so that people can escape from a second story. Also have alarm, smoke detectors, working smoke detectors, so on and so forth. Those are handy right now, but will even become more valuable in an SHTF. So be prepared for that. As far as being your own EMT, do you know how to save a life? Can you stop bleeding? Can you set fractures? Do you have splints? Do you have gauze rolls, gauze pads, stop bleeding? Do you know how to perform a CPR? Do you know how to do the basic stuff? You may have to be your own doctor and your own EMT. Are you prepared for that? If you are relying on what you have in your medicine cabinet, I can guarantee you are woefully unprepared. One of our dogs had a cut on its leg a while back. Didn't require stitches, but it was bleeding pretty good. How it got cut, I have no idea. Came out of the woods limping, and stuff like that happens. I guarantee you I used 2 rolls of gauze pad in a week, and gauze pads, changing it every couple days. I used a box of those. So can you imagine if you're working on a human being, someone you may love or care about? You're not going to want to run out of gauze pads or gauze rolls or whatever to stop that bleeding, as well as infection control medicines. So your medicine cabinet is not enough. Neither is your blowout kit on your back of your belt. You're going to need to resupply that. And do you have the stuff to resupply your EMT needs? If you don't have the skills, check and see if there's a Red Cross in your area that will give you basic first aid classes. If not, check at your local college, and they offer paramedic classes or basic first aid for a small fee. You don't have to go into a full EMT, but you should know how to at least stop bleeding, perform CPR. There's all kinds of collapsible splints that you can buy on the cheap, $10. They're aluminum or lead filled, pliable, to help set broken bones. Do you know how to use those? As far as becoming your own sheriff, your own deputy, Not everything is going to be, life or death. In an SHTF, what if somebody comes in and tries to steal? They're not creating a violent crime, but you, quote, arrest them in an SHTF because you know the sheriff or the cops aren't coming. Have you thought about how you're going to restrain them? Where you're going to keep them? What are you going to do with them? Do you have zip cuffs, zip ties to restrain the hands and feet until you can decide, or when help does arrive to take the people away, the criminals away? Do you have pepper spray, gel, not the spray, not the powder, the gel, the kind that will stick to people's faces? The powder, if you're using it outdoor, the spray can blow back on you or somebody else. The gel will actually stick to the skin. And in case you do not survive the attack, at least when they go to a hospital or some local urgent care, the medical staff will realize what kind of burn that is on their skin and help identify that person as a culprit that may have ended your life. So these are some of the things that you need to think about. Not everybody's going to be shooting and killing and everything else. You may have to use the gel. You may have to use a nightstick. They may just surrender and say, hey, take me, I'm your prisoner, just feed me. And you say, no, I can't feed you, get on down the road. But what if they don't go get on down the road? What are you going to do then? Have you thought about that? If you say, well, they're going to become slave labor, that's fine. Are you going to put restraints on their legs so that they don't run away or get into stuff when they're not out wherever working? These are the things that you need to consider. You need to stock up on your gauzes, your bandages, and your anti-infection gels, your hand soaps, all that kind of stuff. You need to think about it. Be safe, be well, get yourself right with God, get baptized. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Greg out.